Hey, we're back. So I'm going to move on to Andy. His content, his creating content is extra special, and some of the other things he does. So Andy, take it away.
Yeah, no, I've been lucky enough to be part of the Disability Film Challenge for over 3 years now. In the last 2 years, I've been nominated for Best Actor. Got very close once, but the film that I did was called Extra Special, and it was a mockumentary on Special, which my friend Ryan O'Connell is in Netflix. But the reason I made the film was because I wanted to really flip the narrative of what diversity means in Hollywood, right? It sometimes we only have one character with a disability who's Hispanic, or one LGBTQ character, or one other character, right? So it's disability, and maybe we'll have a sprinkle of something else. And what I thought was funny is people would come up to me on the street and be like, "Oh, you're that guy Ryan," and we look nothing alike. And I'm in a wheelchair full time. I'm not ambulatory like Ryan. And so I always thought it was hilarious where people would stop me and think I was him, or think that, we were connected somehow, just because I was gay and just because I was in a wheelchair and doing this thing in Hollywood. And Donna, you know me for several years. I've been working in this industry for over 10 years, trying to make just a dent in diversity and inclusion. And I really, for me, the disability narrative is still so very white, right? Like, it's not, I'm Latinx, queer, and disabled, but I still don't see me on TV ever fully represented in my full form, in my uniqueness. And so I made that film for all those reasons. And plus, it was just really a satire to the industry, right? Like, we go to these castings and sometimes we're like cattle, right? And we're not casting us, we're casting our ability, right? It's like, oh, do you have the right wheelchair? Do you have the right look? We don't want your talent. We want you because you sit in your chair. So I just thought on many levels that the industry was ready to be shook a little bit. And it really was. Like, after I made this film, I actually won Best Actor for a film festival in Nevada. And they were like, we hadn't seen anything like this. And I was like, well, thank you. So it really just pushed me to like reinvigorate my career. And then I was working with Jake on the Hollywood initiative that he's working on, and I got interviewed by him. And I just thought this whole thing, there needs to be a movement of many, and then that movement will become bigger and bigger. And we all have space, we all have room to do whatever we want to do. We just need the ability to do it, which is the industry allowing us to open those doors.
That's wonderful. That's cool. For giving us a chance to talk and questions about how we feel with diversity in Hollywood. It really opened. And with that, I do want to ask a question about this is how I feel, and everyone has their own opinion. But in Hollywood, everybody's talking about authenticity in Hollywood. I believe that's a good thing, but I do believe that so portraying things that you are not. So if you do have somebody not disabled playing a disabled person, it does give an awareness, a baby step to an awareness. It also is into the project. However, I do believe in roles incorporated for people, and I do believe that sometimes you do need that A-listed person um, to project going and to get people to come see the project. I believe that there should be more opportunities for producers and writers to get to know. We have a point of view that no one else has, and we have that we can give to projects. And I don't know, you can all jump in.
I'd like to say something. I know I'm talking a lot, but this is like, I'm so glad that you brought this up because two things, right? I think that it's cute that people want to cast non disabled actors for disabled parts. But, like, again, I think it's time now that there are so many. There's so many actors with disabilities. They could find one, right? Like, I
People are
know
just
yeah, I know so many stories about Glee. Only one actor got submitted for that role, right? And they didn't get it, obviously. For Queer as Folk, only a handful of actors got auditioned for that role. And again, that role's, challenging and different and interesting. But I think you're right, Donna. I will agree with you on this. If people with disabilities were behind the scenes, were writers, directors, and producers, this is why I do producing too, they would tell their own stories. They wouldn't
Yeah.
want an able bodied person to go in there and be like,
Mm-hmm.
I want you to tell my story. I had the opportunity to work with a very famous person about 5 years ago, and they wanted to tell my story about growing up in foster care. And when they were like, yeah, but we want little Andy to be played by a non disabled person, I was like, sorry, I can't do that. And I literally took the project and said, no, thank you. And yeah, I might have been kicking myself in the foot or in the face or whatever, but I could look myself in the mirror and said, I made a choice. I made a choice to elevate our community. Now, on the other hand of that, if they audition more than 50% of people with disabilities and they still can't find their actor, then yes, maybe maybe an able bodied person can come through and do it with the support of the disabled community. But the problem I see with not casting disabled voices and disabled persons is they don't do a thorough casting process. And if they do, it's not transparent, right? They don't do anything to let people know we're having a huge casting for this one part, and we auditioned 80 people for it, and yet we couldn't find anyone, right? If they did that, I'd have less problem with them casting an able-bodied person. But I
Mm-hmm.
don't think they need to. I think there's plenty of people with disabilities who are unique, beautiful, and talented that could be casted at any role. I'm sorry, that was a lot. Oh my God,
Yeah,
CJ,
that's
this
great.
is your
No,
problem.
that's
You asked me to do
okay.
this.
That's okay.
no, I'm
That's
not
what
ready
this
to
is.
jump on. I love this. I love this. As someone who has gotten turned away from so many auditions or even dance classes just because I needed to adapt. This was before my wheelchair. Now, having the experience of being in my exact position right now, just having a little bit more mobility, I remember being able to go into dance spaces and being looked at like I was everybody else. And then once I needed accommodations because I wasn't visibly disabled, then there was judgment and there was misunderstanding and there was harm. And when I would go to an audition, and I tire very quickly. So I can't go full out every single time that we rehearse a dance. And if I'm not going full out in rehearsal, they cut you. And so I would get cut from auditions because I wasn't going full out. I would get cut just because I needed accommodations. So when I know that there are roles being created that highlight people with disabilities and their stories, I truly feel that that is a role that should be dedicated to someone living in that position, because they bring a perspective that someone who is able-bodied can't. And when I watch a story that features a character that I relate to, that is giving a community that I belong to representation, I want them to fully embody and represent everything that I live, breathe, and exist in. And I feel that, yes, an A-list celebrity can bring attention to a movie that maybe a brand new person can't. But that comes down to the marketing. Push your marketing. Push welcoming a new disabled actor into the scene. Yeah, we need more A-list celebrities. Yeah, we need more A-list disabled celebrities who can bring this pull. So I truly believe that these roles belong to people with disabilities.
But
And
I'm thinking of Daniel Day-Lewis, who did My Left Foot. He did an excellent job. He was not disabled, but no, I agree with you. There should be more chance for people to get in the room. Jake, how do you?
Oh, Jake, go ahead. But one thing I said, I would say this: 30 years ago, 20 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, okay. But now, with all the work in diversity and inclusion, there's no excuse. There's no excuse to not create that space. All right,
Especially
Jake, go.
with
I'm sorry.
representation in social media. You can find so many diverse artists and creators through social media alone. I've connected with so many dancers I personally relate to now because of social media. It's rad. I love it.
Go, Jake. I'm sorry.
And I dance the way I used to, but I dance the way I can now, and that's okay with me. That kind of emotion to put in to my work. Jake, how?
Well, I think what's also not really told about is, I mean, I'm not really in the entertainment industry. I'm kind of on the flip end, someone kind of coming in, looking more objectively. When you don't see someone like you, it makes you feel isolating, alone, and you don't think like, oh, do I even have a future? I mean, because for me, I'm thinking of, or one of my disabilities, ADHD, makes fun of all the time. And then how that translates into even retail, because I mostly work retail my life. My boss told me that, my coworker had ADHD, they can't concentrate, so we're just going to fire them. And so that's a direct response of what people see and what people think of when they watch these representations in media. And the only thing similar I can think of is I'm also part of the LGBT community, and obviously disability, LGBT, there is intersectionality, but it's different. And I'm thinking there's TV shows, movies being produced now, and the people who are the casted, they're not part of the LGBT community. And so for me, like growing up, and I'm thinking, oh, is there someone else like me? And like, oh, so are they just pretending? Does this actually exist? Am I the only one? Do I have a community? And it's really upsetting. And and for disability, when it's not even shown as an adult, you don't even know what the possibilities are. And I think that's how influential media is. And it shifts policy too all the time. Even like recently with conversion therapy, two state legislators banned conversion therapy because of the film Boy Erased. And so that is, media really influences culture and policy. And when it's not there, then it just perpetuates all of these horrible stereotypes and these perceptions, which then that's how people who without disabilities treat people with disabilities.
Wow, there's a lot about.
You do have family, Jake. Yay! Yay!
Thank you.
One more last minute thoughts, okay?